We're excited to be with you today. We have an awesome opportunity in terms of growing your cloud portfolio with Windows 10 Enterprise through CSP. Now, with me today, I have Nick Fillingham from the Windows product team, and we're here to talk about what we have in terms of adding a new product to your mix, going after potential Office 365 customers, and potential with the security message as well. And so with that, why don't I hand it over to Nick to talk about the value to you as a partner and the value to your customers. Nick?
Thanks, Will. Yes, hi, Nick Fillingham. I work for the Windows marketing team here in Redmond. Happy to be walking you through the overview of Windows 10 Enterprise subscriptions in CSP. We bought Windows into the CSP program for the first time in September of last year. So we've been selling Windows for about 6 months in this way, and it's brand new for us. This is the first time that we have created a way for customers to move from the Pro edition of Windows to the Enterprise edition as a per user per month subscription. And I'll talk about that in the upcoming deck. But yeah, we think there's some great opportunity here for partners. So I'm going to start with the elevator pitch. If you get 30 seconds, if you get 60 seconds to sit down with your customer and say, hey, I want to talk to you about Windows 10 Enterprise E3 or E5 and CSP, what is it? It's really this. This is the Pentagon. Hopefully everyone kind of knows that. Right now, the Department of Defense, the US Department of Defense, have and are rolling out a few, it might be 4 million, I think it's 4 million or 8 million seats of Windows 10 Enterprise into the Department of Defense employees inside this building. So arguably one of the most secure buildings in the world, arguably the workers that need the highest level of security. You as a partner can deliver the exact same edition of Windows that the Department of Defense are using inside the Pentagon to a business of any size now, even just one single employee, for $7 per month. So we talk about what is Windows 10 Enterprise in the CSP. It is the most secure edition of Windows. It's Pentagon grade security for the price of coffee and a donut. That's the $7 per user per month bid. So where I live, if I want to get myself a frappuccino, double frappuccino, frappuccino. That's what you have, right?
Yep, that's what I do.
And a donut or two. I mean, that's about $7, right? So
coffee alone is
right,
$8.
right. So I mean, your mileage may vary on that $7 figure and what kind of beverage and snack food you can get, but it's enterprise grade security, so good that the Pentagon is rolling out for $7 per user per month, and that's really kind of that's the elevator pitch. That's where we start from. We refer to Windows 10 and specifically the Enterprise Edition as the most secure edition, it's the most secure Windows ever. We started, when we launched Windows 10 and we talked about how secure Windows was, we talked about the features. We dived into the features. We said, oh, here's feature A, here's feature B, here's feature C, here's feature D. And the problem is that the actual name of the feature doesn't necessarily tell you anything, right? So we're kind of changing the way we talk about it a little bit. We're saying, with Windows 10 Enterprise, you can secure your devices and you can lock down your devices. And the feature that makes that happen is something called Device Guard. Device Guard is a way to lock down your device so that it only executes against a whitelist. A whitelist that your partner or your IT pro configures. A whitelist that in itself has kind of like a level of two-factor authentication. So it's actually kind of, you have to have 2 steps in order to actually change what's on the whitelist. So it's not very easy for someone with nefarious intentions to go in and certify an app and kind of get it up and running. It's very much controlled by your IT or your partner. And when you configure Device Guard, you literally, I mean, I don't think we can say this from a complete, LCA won't let us say this, but you mitigate as much as you possibly can the risk of ransomware, of malware, and really of any piece of executable running on your system that you don't want it to run. This is the way you lock down your device.
Yeah, and there's opportunity for partners, right, to help live up to that promise.
Absolutely. The partner can come down and say, is ransomware something that's ever happened to you or you've read about, or you think that if it happened to you, it would be potentially bad? Have you ever had a malware issue, or are you worried about malware? Do you have the level of sensitivity in your business, in the data that you collect and store, in the apps that you use, that if you had this incident, it would be catastrophic? Here's how you actually go protect against it. Securing your data, that's about obviously taking advantage of all the encryption features that are inside Windows 10. That's going to be BitLocker, that's going to be Windows Information Protection, that's going to be conditional access, and securing your people. That's around the Credential Guard feature, which really protects for a hybrid on-prem cloud kind of access and identity control. So all of these features roll up to these three kind of core promises, which is secure your devices, secure your data, and secure your people, to such a degree, to such a strong, with such strength, that the Department of Defense is rolling it out to the Pentagon, right? So you can kind of keep coming back to that in the back of your head. This is Pentagon grade security, Pentagon grade functionality.
And there is value in that control, right? And when I talk to a lot of partners, I hear that, yeah, it's great that there's security and that there's new functions and features, but it's that control as a partner when we manage desktops or we're helping our customers, that is really a top priority.
Right. So the partner can say to the customer, the partner can say to the customer, we can get down to the granular level of control. We have, with Windows 10 Enterprise, we can control virtually every single surface, virtually every single knob and dial. And if you need that level of granularity, we can go do that. And of course, that's a service that you, the partner, are providing. The customer doesn't have to think about it. The customer doesn't have to know about all the functionality, all of the customization, all of those little control surfaces. That's what the value the partner can bring. So just kind of staying on the theme of security, there's a couple of slides here that'll build, and it really starts with showing what some of the tent pole, core security functionality was that shipped with Windows 7. Windows 7 is 8, almost 9 years old now. So, it's getting a little long in the tooth. We extended to support for Windows 7 is actually going to be ending kind of soonish. So at some point, Windows 7 will go the way of Windows XP, will go the way of Windows Vista, where there'll be no longer any more security updates that are even published for it, right? So it's getting to be a relatively old OS at this point. And if you look at some of the security functionality that's in it, it was great for 9 years ago. So, the introduction of the trusted platform module, or at least the device protection functionality that shipped with Windows 7 was great for the time. Windows Firewall and Smart Screen were great tools to help with threat resistance. Identity protection was still pretty new, and so there wasn't kind of a lot in, there really wasn't anything in there around identity protection. We didn't really have this hybrid cloud and on-prem kind of ecosystem very much. We introduced, or we further strengthened the BitLocker tool set and the BitLocker kind of suite. And then really nothing at all for kind of this breach detection, investigation, and response, which we'll get to in a minute. So that was Windows 7. Great operating system, but it's 9 years old, right? And so I'm going to build here. I'm going to say, let's go here. This is running Windows 10 on Windows 7 hardware. But if you get a modern device, a new Windows 10 device, you get really to the full feature set that's inside Windows 10. And so now we're adding in a lot of the virtualization-based security functionality, the full UEFI secure boot. Now we have Device Guard and Windows Defender Application Guard. Now we have Credential Guard for supporting those hybrid identity scenarios. Now we have automatic full device encryption and the conditional access functionality. And if you have been playing along at home, we have 2 SKUs available in CSP. You have Windows 10 Enterprise E3 and Windows 10 Enterprise E5. Enterprise E3 is all of the features that actually come in the Enterprise Edition, in the actual bits that are in the Enterprise Edition of Windows 10. And so that's Device Guard, Credential Guard, virtualization-based security, etc., etc. E5 is all of E3 plus the Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection service, which is actually a cloud service where the devices inside your business are basically sending security diagnostics into this cloud service, and you can use the Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection dashboard to actually monitor essentially the health of your all the computers inside your business and look for incoming threats and obviously respond to those if they come in.
Yeah, and let's just point out, if I'm licensing E3, I get E3. Now, if I'm licensing or I'm buying E5 for my customer, it's going to show that I'm buying E3, plus I'm adding Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. Is that correct?
Right. So if you buy E3, you get E3. Yep. If you buy E5, you get E3 plus Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. There really isn't an edition called E3 or E5, right? When you buy E3, what'll show up in the device, it'll say that you're running Windows Enterprise as a subscription, and that's true for both buying E3 or E5. If you buy E5, you also get access to the Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection service. And so that's kind of the nuance there. So it's a little different. The edition that's actually on your device, it's the Pro edition that stepped up into Enterprise subscription, and that's across both E3 and E5. And now we kind of talk about this is kind of part of the CSP value proposition. This isn't really unique to Windows, but the partners can take the Windows Enterprise subscriptions in the CSP program and wrap their own managed servicing around it. And this is where the real opportunity comes into, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes. There is profitability in just selling the Windows 10 Enterprise E3 and E5 SKU, right? There's some margin in the SKU. There's some kind of platform incentives. There's some individual incentives for the partner when they make a sale. But the real opportunity here is for the partner to take the various subscriptions inside CSP, like a menu, bring them together and wrap their own managed servicing and their own expertise around that and deliver that as a solution to their customer. And so you can really, with CSP, go to any customer of any size, any level of complexity and say, hey, whether you have IT and you need my help to complement that, or whether you have no IT at all, I can come into you as a trusted advisor and deliver whatever it is that you need, whether it's Windows security, whether it's Windows management, whether it's some other kind of Windows desktop-based service, as a managed service. And I do it all for you, and I'll bill you in a way that works for you. We'll do per user per month billing. We'll do it in a way that works for the P&L of a small business. So that's really part of the CSP value prop. But it's super important and something that we know that kind of customers have been asking for a long time. So we're pretty excited to be able to bring this to market. And I just touched on this as well about kind of easy pricing for small business. Of course, CSP, per user per month billing, as just said. So it's there's this flexibility to kind of scale up and scale down as your needs change. So a great example is a business that maybe a tax company or a financial institution. Maybe they have 20 full-time employees, but during tax time they need to scale up. They need to bring in another 5, 7, 8, 10 employees for the 3 to 6 months that's tax season. So they have 20 seats of Windows, of Office, of some kind of Azure products, and then when they bring in those seasonal employees for tax time, they add some more subscriptions, and then when those guys leave, they scale it back down again. And so they're just paying for what they need, which is fantastic flexibility.
And something that we haven't had with Open Value or some of the other licensing types. So this is a big deal.
It's a big change for us. I mean, we've not had the flexibility in our volume licensing programs, and that's obviously something that we've been wanting to fix for a long time, and CSP's been the mechanism to allow us to change that. And then in January, what we did was we made a quick change to the Windows in CSP subscription offering, and we said that, hey, if you're bringing a device that's running Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 Pro, you don't need to go and buy that interim upgrade license to Windows 10 Pro, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But in order to go and deploy your Windows Enterprise subscription, you have to already be on Windows 10 Pro. The device has to start at Windows 10 Pro, and so if you're not already there, if you're on 7 or 8.1, there was a step missing where the customer actually had to go and buy an upgrade in order to move to the CSP subscription model. And so we changed that in January, and so now you can literally go from Windows 7 Pro to Windows 10 Enterprise E3 as a subscription through CSP for $7 per user per month, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because when we had first started talking about this back in at Worldwide Partner Conference last summer, even it was a roadblock.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a barrier.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of it was a strange conversation to say to a customer, hey, let me show you the incredible value of Windows 10 Enterprise E3 delivered as a service by me as a managed service by me as a partner, and they go, awesome, I'm in, let's do it. And they go, oh, hang on, you're on Windows 7 Pro. We need to get you to 10 Pro first. So let's first of all go into the open value life. We'll go into the open VL program, and let's get you a Pro VL upgrade, which, by the way, is like $180 something per device, right? So, you've just sold them in on $7 per user per month, and they're like, I love it. And then you're saying, oh, by the way, you need to give me $180 for every single one of your devices to get them up to Windows 10 Pro first. So we heard that feedback from customers, and we made it a change as quickly as we could. So
And you didn't just hear the feedback. You went and you worked hard to get that unblocked. That was a big deal.
We did.
And so when I talk to partners now, that is very compelling to say, you mean I can start paying $7 tomorrow, and I can get to Windows 10 Pro and then up to Enterprise.
So in 30 days, I think you don't even pay immediately. I think you in theory you pay in 30 days. So upgrade to Windows 10 today. Pay your first $7 bill in 30 days or so. But yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
And then this, to be honest, like I actually think this is super. I just said super excited. I just actually broke my own rule. I try to never say super excited because I think it's a terrible cliche.
You've said that 3 times now.
But I do find I did. But I do find this a very energizing evolution here, and the fact that we've kind of CSP and Azure Active Directory has allowed us to re-engineer the way that the Enterprise Edition is deployed. So before CSP, if you wanted to put the Enterprise Edition, you're a small business, we would say to you, go find a VL partner, a volume licensing reseller, and go and put an order in for either a software assurance agreement, okay, which is a 2 or 3 year deal, 2 or 3 year agreement. It's per device, so you have to count up all the devices that you have and buy based on the number of devices, not the number of people. And then once you've bought that thing, first of all, you got to pay us in annual installments. Then you've got to go and log into the volume licensing software center, download an image, an ISO, customize it for your business the way that needs to be customized. Go and do a scale deployment. And by the way, that's a wipe and reload. You're wiping everything that's on the device. And I mean, there's ways to do otherwise, but that was kind of the way that you went and got the Enterprise Edition on your device. It was a complex deployment, and if you are a big customer with an IT team and you've done this a lot and you have the tools and infrastructure, you can do this in your sleep. If you're a small business, if you're like 50 employees, 100 employees, this can be quite complex. It can be time consuming, it can be expensive, and it can be a bit of a nightmare from an actual rollout perspective. This is how you deploy Windows 10 Enterprise E3 through CSP. You take a Windows 10 Pro machine that has the anniversary update on it or newer. So that's anniversary update or creators updates coming out very soon, but anniversary update or newer. So Windows 10 Pro with anniversary update. You log into the device via the Azure Active Directory kind of cloud domain join. So you can, if it's a Pro device, so it allows you to either log in locally, log in via a domain, or log in via a cloud domain, right? So you log in via Azure Active Directory with your AAD credentials. So it would be will@contoso.com.
Okay.
You log in with that. As part of the login process, your device goes and talks to AAD to verify your username and password. But then it also goes and checks CSP and says, oh, look, Will has a subscription to the Enterprise Edition. And so as part of that login, it verifies the subscription is there and active, and it brings down something called a digital entitlement. It's kind of like a certificate. And then once that gets brought down to the device, your device literally, we call it a step up. It just flips. It just turns on. It goes from Pro functionality to Enterprise functionality at login. Nothing downloads, nothing installs. There's no reboot. There's no spinning wheel. You literally go from a Pro device running anniversary update. You log in with your AAD credentials, and you're now running Enterprise as a subscription. And it literally takes 2 minutes or less. I've seen it take 5 seconds. And so with CSP allowed us to do this. CSP allowed us to completely reimagine the way that we deploy the Enterprise Edition. So there's now really no barrier. There's no kind of headache around deployment. There's no headache around customizing an image and having to worry about complex deployment tools and activation tools and blah, 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 blah. If you want to move to Enterprise, you start with a Windows 10 Pro device running anniversary update. You log in with your CSP Azure Active Directory credentials, and you're now running the Enterprise as a subscription.
Okay, 2 questions for you.
Go.
First is Azure Active Directory. Do I have to pay for that extra?
Okay.
Where's that coming from?
Okay, so you don't have to. No. So if all you want to do is put Windows 10 Enterprise E3 or E5, if all you want is that, you don't want any other product, you don't need to buy any other product. When you buy a subscription in CSP, you get a level of Azure Active Directory functionality kind of for free. There is a name for it. I'm not sure if it's Azure Active Directory Basic or free. It's one of those two, but it's enough Azure Active Directory functionality to allow you to deploy and consume your subscription. So no, you don't have to buy anything else.
Second question.
But you should, because Azure Active Directory Premium is fantastic.
It is.
And it allows you to do a ton of incredible kind of management deployment stuff. Anyway, keep going.
That's right. That's right. Second question is, if I want to deploy via a custom image, is that possible through this? Is there anything else I might need to do?
Yeah, it is. It gets a little bit more complex. I mean, you have to start with Windows 10 Pro Anniversary Update. As long as Windows 10 Pro Anniversary Update in some format is on your device. So if you want to deploy a customized image of Windows 10 Pro Anniversary Update, you totally can. That's up to you. But in order to get access to the Windows 10 Pro Anniversary Update VL image and to have the volume licensing rights to do a VL-based re-imaging, now you're talking about going and having a transaction in the open program and going buying a VL upgrade license. So you absolutely can, but now you're kind of making it a little bit more complex. And so we would encourage to look at just simply using the MDM enrollment functionality that comes with buying an EMS subscription or Intune or some of the other management tools, and really just keeping that kind of vanilla standard Windows 10 Pro Anniversary Update image, and then once it's deployed, use either group policy or MDM to actually customize the image the way that you want.
Ah, interesting. Okay. And do we have documentation about this?
There is.
There is.
Yeah.
Great.
Do your Bingle searches and you'll find it. It's probably on TechNet.
Okay.
Cool. Will.
Yeah.
This is a slide. We call this slide, customer targets. That's very self-explanatory. But we in the process of developing this offering, we ran research. We went and looked at different types of small businesses and their needs. We kind of broke it down into three kind of buckets. That makes sense, right? Bucket.
Yep.
A sub-segment. Maybe that sounds more academic. So if you have a customer that accesses, processes, or stores highly sensitive client data, as in not just their data, the data of their customers. So that could be anything that's personally identifiable, any kind of legal information, any kind of financial information, that anything that a hacker, that a nefarious agent would want to steal, would want to get their hands on, then that fits into this category. And this is going to be healthcare providers, this is going to be financial services, legal services, anything that collects and stores any like highly valuable, highly sensitive personal information, right? So that's one category. The second category is any industry that's any business in a regulated industry, or that directly feeds in or out of a regulated industry, so upstream or downstream. Right. Some industries are, a lot of industries are regulated. Like many industries, I mean, here in the US, the IRS, the taxation, the tax laws is kind of a form of regulation. It's not true regulation, right? But a lot of industries have some level of regulation, but there are others that are significantly more highly regulated. And the functionality, especially the management functionality that comes with the Enterprise Edition, helps a lot with remaining compliant and keeping a track of compliance, which is often very, very important when it comes to regulation. Okay. And then the third category is any company that creates and monetizes or sells any intellectual property in a digital form. And so some examples of this are companies that build software, right? Because their intellectual property, their product, exists in a digital format. It's ones and zeros, right? An architectural firm that builds plans for buildings, their intellectual property at the end of the day is a blueprint for a building, which is probably stored in a digital format. A financial services company probably has a financial model that they build and maintain and that they actually monetize with their clients. And that's probably in Excel, right? Or it's in it's a piece of software. So again, any company that has digital stuff that they need to protect. If it was stolen, that would be obviously kind of bad, right? These are the three categories of these are the three kind of business categories, and this encompasses when we did our kind of segmentation research, at least a third of all businesses here in the US. And really that third applies really to any market that's developed and has, you know, a level of kind of regulation that's applied into it.
Yeah, and I think I would take it a step further and be very bullish on this, and I would say, I think 100% of SMB has roles or people within them.
Individuals
that might fit into a category of touching data.
Independent of these targets, which are applied to the entire business.
Right.
So you could have a business where they don't process or store sensitive data at a business level. They're not in a regulated industry, and they're not monetizing intellectual property. But you're saying that there are actual people that have special needs.
Yeah, and I think that would be that could be a very interesting value prop for someone to go in and have a conversation to say, listen.
I'm assuming like the C-suite, or you know, at least the senior leadership, management, ownership.
Yeah, that HR person. Hey, frankly, even a traveling salesperson who
vacuum, like door-to-door vacuum seller.
What's that example you give? If I lose a device, what's that example?
Right, yeah. You just had me thinking of like a vacuum salesman going door to door. Right. So, I mean, you know, an interesting example is if you walk into a customer, and we actually did this, you walk into a real world customer and you just kind of walk around with either the owner or the IT decision maker, and you just kind of point to someone and say, who's that? Like, I don't know what their name is, but like, do you know, what do they do? What's their job? Imagine that person accidentally leaves their laptop on a bus or in the back of an Uber, or they accidentally drop it into a river or drive over it in their car, or it gets stolen. Think through those scenarios and think through like, okay, what's the impact? What data is on that device? How well is it protected? If that data was to be able to be extracted from that device, is there any impact? And there will definitely be people where you go, nah, it's fine. That person, you know, maybe just does basic data entry and kind of everything's through a, you know, secure cloud service or something like that. There's actually nothing that lives on the device. But there will absolutely be people when you go, you know what? That guy has all of the, you know, usernames and passwords to our corporate banking. That guy has our entire customer database.
That's the person doing the HTML coding on our website. That's the one person.
Yeah, right? That's the, you know, there's the $2 million deal that we just signed for this particular building we're going to design. The final, you know, blueprints in their raw format are on that PC, right? So, you know, you can do the exercise where you kind of walk around the business and you point to someone and you go, imagine that person took their laptop home to do some work and someone broke into their house in the middle of the night and the device was stolen. Yep. Imagine that person left it on the back of the bus. Imagine, and this is a real example. We were in a country in Western Europe. I won't name the company. We were in a country in Western Europe meeting with a partner. They had just had an example where one of their small businesses was a tool and die manufacturer, right? So they made tools to make things, right? So they made like big, I don't know, presses or big wrenches. I don't know. They were a tool and die manufacturer, and all the stuff that they make they manufactured it through like digital CAD files, like AutoCAD files, right? Okay. Someone this is a really unsophisticated hack, but someone parked the car in the car park, was walking into the building and noticed a USB key on the ground, picked it up and went, oh, someone's dropped their USB key as they've come in from the car park. It must be on their key ring. It's fallen off. Went in, plug the USB key in to try and see like maybe there's a photo on here or a document I can identify who owns this thing. It was you know someone nefarious who had dropped it on purpose. It had some malware on it. The malware got onto the machine, opened it up to you know, an external nefarious person who was able to log in and dump out as much, you know, data as they could find, and turned out they got access to the CAD files they used to make these tools that they actually sell. That was their business, and that means that, you know, someone else out there either, you know, was able to go and make their product based on their specs, without paying them any royalty. And they were, it was devastating for them. And that was someone trying to do the right thing. That was an employee going like, oh, I think one of my fellow employees has dropped this USB key. I'm going to do the right thing, see if I can find it. So there are so many examples of people not doing anything bad, like not doing
malicious.
the wrong thing. Yeah, they're not malicious. So sometimes you actually have to protect against accidents, and people with good intention just kind of accidentally opening themselves up to security risk. So there's a lot of opportunity here, a lot of opportunity for partners to go into customers and say, hey, I want to get you as secure as the Pentagon, $7 per user per month. And I think we said that 30% was the size here. And then just we're almost finished here. The other thing that we found from our research was that over 90% of small businesses have 50 employees or less. And that's really interesting because 50 employees and above is actually kind of the point where a business gets large enough they start to think about having some form of dedicated IT. So what that really says to you is 90% of small businesses don't have dedicated IT. But we know that 30% of businesses in the US live in one of these three categories where they need this highest level of security. So, that overlapping Venn diagram says that, there's a solid 20-25% of SMBs are in one of these kind of elevated categories with elevated security needs, and they don't have IT. So tons of opportunity for partners. And then just super quick, if you already have a great CRM and a great kind of customer base, and you're kind of looking for some opening leads, this is kind of the Venn diagram to really help you. So it's a customer that's probably already on Windows 10 Pro, although it's very easy to get to 10 Pro from 7 or 8 Pro now with the new upgrade benefits. It is a customer already in CSP, so there's no need to set them up with a new tenant or new user account. You're just adding a new subscription. And then obviously it's a customer that sits in one of those three categories with the complex IT security requirements. And so if you have a customer that sits in that three circle Venn diagram, perfect target to go and pitch to for Windows Enterprise subscription in CSP. Now, this is probably maybe the most important slide, or definitely one of the most important slides here in this deck. This is the profitability kind of story for Windows 10 Enterprise, E3, and CSP. So on the left-hand side, this is what you get when you sell something in CSP. So there's about 20 points of margin just on the SKU itself. And then if you are depending on whether you're a direct or an indirect provider or a reseller, you get somewhere between 8 and 10% kind of platform incentive. So you're looking at 28 to 30% of actual margin just on selling the product through CSP. We have a limited time period for an extra incentive of selling Windows in CSP. For every E3 seat you sell, you get $5, a one-time payment of $5, and for every E5 seat, you get a one-time payment of $10. And this is a super simple program. You don't have to register. You don't have to do anything. Once you make the sale, we see it in our systems here. We contact the partner and we say, hey, we saw you just sold 50 seats of E3. We saw you just sold 75 seats of E5. You just earned this amount of money. Click here to claim your incentive. Dead simple, right? So you're making great margin on the SKU. You're earning a one-time payment of $5 or $10 when you're actually selling a new seat. But the real opportunity here is for the partner to create and deliver and kind of wrap around these actual subscription SKUs their own services. And I think of it in two ways. There's premium support. So there's the ability for the partner to say, hey, I'll provide my customers with a kind of a base level of support for free, or included in the subscription, but then I'll have like a silver tier and a gold tier and a platinum tier. And there's great, there's an opportunity to earn really, have really great margin in premium support. We from chatting with partners, it's somewhere around about 45%, or at least the opportunity for 45% margin in those types of services. And the same for the managed service component. If this customer doesn't have IT and needs to have this solution delivered as part of a managed service, great opportunity for margin there too. 45% is really quite average.
Yeah. So let me help the customer live up to the promise of protecting against malware. Let me help set up those policies. Let me help protect and manage and potentially even audit from protecting keys and so forth when we're talking about credential guard and protecting that user identity. Yeah. And I think this goes well if we look at a holistic approach as well. With it works better together with Office.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we look into mobile and security, where we start looking at identity protection all the way through document protection and into device protection, I think when you look at Office, what we call EMS, or the mobility and security, and then Windows 10 Enterprise, they work well together. It's built-in security from the ground up, and it's a great holistic approach to being very secure and with very productive tools.
Absolutely. So look, that brings us to the end. There's really kind of 3 resources that I want to make sure partners are aware of. The first of is, we have I think a pretty comprehensive set of marketing assets for partners to take advantage of up on the Microsoft Partner Network website. And you can get there at that first URL, number 1 there. It's aka.ms, which is the little URL shortening service we use here at Microsoft, aka.ms win CSP. The second is our online training system, or our online training site that we use, called Drumbeat, and you can get to that by drumbeat.windows.com, and that has really short but comprehensive interactive courses to teach you about the latest features and that's inside Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Pro devices. Obviously Windows 10 Enterprise E3, we talk about SPE. We're actually starting to talk about selling scenarios and kind of go deeper into other options there. So make sure you check out Drumbeat. And the other thing is that we have a technical readiness series that runs that we called Windows Tech Series. And I probably should have a URL up here. I don't know if you know off the top of your head.
Yeah, so for that Windows and CSP course.
Yep.
You can access it, and we'll always be listing the most latest and greatest landing page to get those at our SMB partner page, which we create to help SMB partners scale. You can access that, and we should put it here, but I'll send it out as well. But it is aka.ms/Windows Partner Journey.
Windows Partner Journey. No spaces, no dashes, no underscores. Right. Windows Partner Journey. Yep. Lovely, lovely. And then obviously, go start selling. If you're listening to this and you are thinking about becoming a direct CSP partner, obviously there's great resources for you up on the Microsoft Partner Center. But you should also know that all the major distributors, all the major 2-tier indirect providers here in the US have Windows Enterprise subscriptions available in their cloud marketplaces. So, if you like to buy through Ingram Micro, go for it. If you like to buy through Tech Data and Synex and all of the great large-scale indirect providers, all of them have Windows Enterprise subscription available through their own cloud marketplaces. So don't think that you have to go and there's no step here that says go and become a direct CSP. If that works for you and you guys want to do that for your business, fantastic. Lots of great resources out there, but we have some fantastic indirect providers that are offering Windows Enterprise subscriptions through their own cloud marketplaces, through CSP, as well as Office, as well as EMS, as well as Dynamics. So you have lots of options out there.
All right. Well, I'm super excited to get this going.
You said super excited.
And you did too.
I did. Fourth time.
Did it.
Sorry.
All right.
But thanks, Will. Thanks for the
Nick.
opportunity. And what's the if people remember one URL or one thing, where should they go? Windows Partner Journey?
Windows Partner Journey.
aka.ms Windows Partner Journey.
And you can get access to all those links that are being shown on the screen right now.
Great. Thanks, Will.
Thanks, Nick.